Come join me and my buddy Taylor on a ride through the heart of BC's interior. A maze of lakes, endless trails, and rugged desert canyons. What started as a simple day trip quickly turned into a full-on adventure. Wrong turns, locked gates, low fuel, and even lifting the bikes over barbed wire fences in the middle of nowhere just to make it out. This ride had a bit of everything. Challenge, chaos, breathtaking scenery, and a whole lot of fun. This is the story of how a casual ride through BC's backcountry turned into one hell of an adventure. All right, I've got a super sick adventure lined up for today. My friend Taylor's coming over and we're gonna tackle a 300-kilometer loop, and pretty much all of it's on dirt, leaving from my house here this morning and hopefully ending up back here by tonight. I've never done this route before, but I've been staring at it all winter on the map on my wall, and I've just been waiting for a buddy to do it with because it's the kind of route that takes you deep into the wilderness and you want someone with you just in case a bike breaks down or something happens. I'm gonna be riding my Husky 350. He's gonna be on his KTM 690, but he's been storing it here, so let's pull the bikes out, give them a wash, and get them ready for the day. Taylor showed up later that morning, and after filling up at the gas station, we were on our way. With full tanks and no real schedule, we set out on our journey. This route would take us high onto the interior plateau, a massive stretch of BC backcountry where a maze of roads connects lake after lake after lake. Barely a kilometer in, our tires met dirt, and for the better part of our 300-kilometer loop, that's all they'd see.
Oh my God, what a beautiful day.
Every turn brought something new. Long dusty straights, cool patches of pine, and glass calm water tucked into the hills. Our first mission of the day was to hit as many of these lakes as we could. The roads between them were good fun. Some were rocky quad trails that kept us on our toes and offered a good bit of variety and technical riding, while others opened up into fast, flowy sections that made the ride every bit as fun as the destination. Every lake we stopped at was more beautiful and more remote than the last. At one point, the trail we'd marked on the map dead-ended, and we had to fight our way through a cut block to link up with it on the other side. Then out of nowhere we found it, a perfect lake, tucked into the hills, quiet and still. A dock stretched out into the water, the boards bleached silver by years of sun. For a moment, it was hard to resist the temptation to abandon our mission and spend the rest of the day swimming in the cool blue water.
Dude, this is it.
But our journey had only just begun, so after enjoying the peaceful serenity of the lake, it was time to keep moving.
That must be the original dock.
Back on the bikes, we pointed our tires north and continued on our mission. Not long after, we wound up in a stretch of newly rehabbed road. Half built, half forgotten, a patchwork of rocks and soft dirt that kept us on our toes. I was pretty glad to be on the smaller bike through here. A little further on, a sign for an old fishing resort caught our eye. Curiosity got the better of us, so we decided to check it out. The entrance gate was half collapsed, and the place had that eerie kind of quiet. Empty cabins, paint peeling, and not a soul around. With the lakes checked off, it was time to start putting some distance behind us. The plateau began to drop away, and in the distance we started to see the contours of the canyon. Ahead of us, the land turned to desert, and that's exactly where we wanted to go. The track we were following started to drop, winding down off the plateau. With every turn, the air got warmer, the sun sharper, the pines started to thin, the grass turned gold, and the scent of sage and sun-baked earth filled the air. We were losing altitude fast, about 1,400 meters from the high plateau, down into one of BC's most iconic river canyons. Now, when I planned this route this winter, I knew there might be a slight issue. Satellite imagery showed the main track that we were on cutting through a farmer's field. Whether that was fine or not kind of depended on the mood of the farmer. Luckily, there looked to be a second trail that stayed in the woods and avoided the farm, reconnecting with the road down at the bottom. This is the one that we planned to take. We reached the junction, a wide open meadow glowing in the afternoon sun, and after a bit of map checking and maybe a touch of overconfidence, we decided we'd found the safe route. We turned off the main trail and started in off the edge of the field on a narrow, overgrown track. It was pointing in the right direction, so we jumped on it and made our way further down into the canyon, having fun riding together, twisting through the trees. The further we went, the better it got. Trees opened up, the river below came into view, and we were completely distracted by the incredible landscapes laid out in front of us. Just when we thought that things couldn't get any better, the trail took a sharp turn back pointed south. Definitely not the direction we wanted to go. We stayed cautiously optimistic, but not much further along, a gate came into view, marking the start of private property.
What do you figure?
Normally, this is where we'd turn around, but there was a pretty big problem, and that was fuel. My stock tank only holds 8 liters, and we were still 40 kilometers from the next town, having already put about 100 kilometers behind us.
So it's not locked.
After a quick debate, we figured it was smarter to keep going and hope for the best. Better to ask forgiveness than permission, and doubling back would burn precious fuel. The gate wasn't locked, so we eased it open, slipped through, and closed it behind us. As we descended, the landscape opened up into irrigated fields and clusters of buildings. I started preparing myself for the conversation I was inevitably going to have with the farmer, who no doubt would be not too pleased that we had blatantly ignored his no trespassing sign. I was hopeful that if we were calm and respectful and explained the fact that if we had tried to find another route, it probably would have left us stranded out in the desert, the farmer might be gracious enough to forgive us for a mistake and let us pass through the property. As we came over the last hill, the buildings and vehicles came into sight. We slowed down, expecting a wave or a shouting match, possibly even a gunshot. But as we got closer, we realized that no one was there, and the buildings we could see were relics of old farmhouses from years gone by. We slipped onto the main road, relieved but not out of the woods yet, trying to not kick up too much dust as we rolled quietly through the property. We passed the corrals and exited out through the gate, feeling pretty lucky that we had got through that without an altercation. We made our way along, winding down from the property towards the main road. This would point us back facing north, following the river towards a town with food and fuel waiting for us. Just as we thought we were in the clear, we came around the corner and saw it. Another gate, a big one, and this one was locked solid.
This one's locked.
The reality of the situation was starting to sink in. We didn't have enough fuel to climb all the way back up to the meadow, hunt for the alternate track, and still make it to town. And even if we did, who's to say that that road didn't have another gate waiting for us? We started walking the fence line, looking for any kind of gap or cattle gate, even a loose wire that we could drag the bikes under. But there was nothing.
Call Raymond Dick.
Just as we were about to give up, we spotted it. A loose top wire on one section of fence that we could push down and lift the bikes over. I jogged back, fired up my bike, and rolled it over. Adrenaline kicked in, and the thought of the farmer rolling up the road to find us halfway through our mission of breaking out of his property filled my mind. This would definitely be a worse look than if he had just seen us come down off the trail. With Taylor's help, we pushed the wire down and lifted the front wheel over the fence. Something wasn't right.
You can just let it roll down and untangle it after. Can you just drop it?
A loose piece of barbed wire had wrapped around the front wheel and was stuck into Taylor's pant leg, which wouldn't allow the tire to drop to the ground.
Pretty good. Is it?
We were stuck with the bike suspended, and Taylor was left trying to untangle the barbed wire from his pant leg while still holding the bike up, trying not to fall on the fence. We scrambled to untangle the wire, trying not to make it worse.
Yeah, if you just drop it.
Finally, with some careful maneuvering, Taylor was able to get the barbed wire out of his pant leg. By this point, our hearts were pounding, but we lowered the wheel down. I jumped around back and lifted the back wheel over, and my bike was free. Now it was Taylor's turn, and his 690 wasn't exactly light. I wrapped the loose piece of barbed wire around the fence to help hold it down and keep it from getting stuck in my leg as we lifted Taylor's bike over. Using my foot to hold the fence down, we rolled the front wheel over. I jumped around back and helped muscle the back wheel over, both of us sweating under the canyon sun. Mission accomplished. Once the wheels hit dirt on the other side, we didn't waste a second. We pinned it down to the main road, heart still racing, the heat rising off the valley floor. No harm done, no damage to the bikes or the fence, just two dusty riders grinning like idiots, grateful to be free and back on track. This stretch of road is one of my favorites in the whole world. Twisting and flowing along the river, it carves its way north through some of the most striking desert country BC has to offer. Old homesteads and weathered fence lines mark the landscape, quiet reminders of the stories that this canyon could tell. This is what it's all about. Two buddies, two bikes, the road stretching endlessly ahead, the wind, the heat, the smell of dust and sage, pure freedom in motion. Eventually, all good things must come to an end. The gravel gave way to the familiar hum of pavement, and we followed it down the last descent into town, dusty, sunburned, and smiling.
Good. Oh man, my fuel light came on at that church.
Que
Whew. How empty am I? Oh, I still had a little bit in there. $20.
94, eh? Not bad.
It's amazing. Oh, hell yeah, brother.
After filling the tanks and stretching our legs, we rolled around the corner to one of my favorite spots, a proper Italian restaurant tucked away in this beautiful desert oasis.
How are you doing? Good, yeah. Oh, very good. Dusted.
After a solid meal and a few laughs, the sun was starting to dip behind the hills.
See you later.
Time to make our way home. We still had a long stretch ahead, cutting back through another corner of BC's interior. We fired up the bikes and rolled out, but apparently my camera wasn't quite ready to leave. Somewhere down the road it decided to bail, tumbling onto the asphalt to catch a few bonus shots of its own. Thankfully I noticed not too far up the road, looped back and scooped it up before it could film its final scene.
Hi, buddy.
With the sun sinking low behind us, we had one last place to stop. A lucky find I'd stumbled on during a hunting trip last fall. We turned off the main road and followed a faint 2-track through rolling grassland. Golden light spilled across the hills, our shadows stretching long behind us as the track carried us towards our final destination. Out here, it's not about the destination or the miles on the odometer. It's about the stories you collect, the laughter, the close calls, and the quiet moments at the end of the day when the world feels big again. We sat there for a while, watching the light fade, miles of desert and canyon laid out in front of us, glowing under the last light of the day.
Beautiful day. Thanks for coming along, guys. Appreciate you. Have a great day.